please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the artist formerly known as Francis, or Boogie in this case, who has released a video as Francis. How exciting. Francis was, years ago, a reductio ad absurdum character created by BOOGIE2988 as a way of showcasing the more extreme yet satirical form of rage gamer, right? The entitled brat, acting like a bish. There's a very particular type of voice done to articulate this character, and mannerisms to accompany. There was some mobility as well. Mobility is important, even for a character all those years ago at the size that he was at. It was important because it showed what we believed to be a character, whereas now it seems to be less a character and more art imitating life. It's really strange that a character like Francis is closer to the real Boogie than many had believed. Until he, dropped off, failed at virtually everything, threw it all away, and, well, faked cancer. Yes. Now, he has been making videos on his channel since he was banned by Keemstar, some of which were clips from live shows, or bits used in the live shows for LOLCal Live, or events they were going to do for LOLCal Live, more notably getting the word liar tattooed onto his face. Badly. He scratched at it because that made it go quicker. Vanished, that is. I think it needs a top-up. Going to a Trump rally where during the entire thing we don't see any Trump rally-related content, only them in a car going to and from, and at shops. Grocery shopping as well is his peak excitement. Now the grocery shopping is interesting because with the thumbnail it leads into the whole, his obsession with, what's the one he likes? Is it Mountain Dew? Yeah. Wasn't that mocked to high hell by the likes of South Park? Certain types of people love that crap. I sell cans of that where I live now. All the different flavours. And they're stupid expensive. They're not worth it, guys. Water is better. Water of life is even better than that. Preferably a single malt. What I want to do today, rather than going through those videos of him IRL trolling people in his hometown or going to a Trump rally because he didn't show us him at the Trump rally, I want to go through the Francis video. I want to go through that so we can point at where this could have a point, because he does have one, but also whether the character resonates with the audience anymore. Now I should insert before we go anywhere, the like-to-dislike on his videos is resoundingly in the ballpark of dislike on the majority of the more recent videos. This one is as close to 50-50 as it could be, for him anyway. It is still leaning towards negative, and the comments are certainly something we should go through later, because everyone has an opinion, and their opinions, well, yes, they're lovely really.
Well, the age of arrogant Sony has returned.
Since Boogie had his teeth done, there's been a distinctively obvious problem with his vocals, where he can't do certain sounds or use certain words because of a lisp, because the teeth he has are far too big for his mouth. It turns out the Francis voice, he can't do that convincingly anymore because of horrible wet noises, which now I've told you about if you hadn't noticed in that first initial clip, are going to become more pronounced. Now, the point that he is going to make that is valid concerning Sony concerns the fact they're essentially ripping off their fans while providing literally nothing of improvement. I've reduced the video for you, but we're going to go through it anyway, because I agree that Sony are becoming rip-off merchants.
With no competition from Xbox or Nintendo.
That may well be why Sony have decided to release a console, the PS5 Pro, that is not a discernible upgrade to the PS5. You know, the one that looks like a modem with a ring binder around it. I still haven't bothered to get a PlayStation 5. I am pretty much a PlayStation person, although, courtesy of my reluctance to play on bigger consoles too much, I usually stick to handheld these days. And PC gamers, well, they're pretty much more prevalent than the console guys at the moment, especially as PS5 is not up there with enough games to justify it, and Xbox use that subscription thing, don't they? So they don't have to care too much either about competing with PlayStation because they've got their own market. Nintendo too for that matter.
They decided it's okay to charge you $700 for a brand new PlayStation.
Yes, I saw Boblax tweeting about this, and when including images of nothing showing any real improvement, it seemed redundant. Even more so when you consider there aren't that many games on the PlayStation 5 anyway. It's all well and good upgrading your services, but if it doesn't look like you've upgraded anything, why bother? Back in the old days, PlayStation 1 brought out a more simplified version. Yes, PlayStation 2 brought out a slimmer version, PlayStation 3 a slimmer version. It continued, in fact, and there were improvements along the way. And yes, I do think PS2 and 3 were your magnum opus. PS4 was alright. I've still got one, it's perfectly fine, but I found the 3 to be better, and the 2 just sublime, quite frankly. PS5, though, hasn't even tempted me once over that of a Nintendo Switch or a Steam Deck. Isn't it strange that at this moment in the video, I am actually in agreement with the Boogs, aka Francis, even though this may as well just be Boogie, and yes, I can see your jaw stressing trying to do the voice.
Oh, but the cost doesn't stop there because this piece of crap doesn't even have a disk drive.
Oh, the wet mouth noises almost make me want to downvote the video. But I won't. That's far too much effort on my part. I do not care for all digital consoles. Courtesy of my phone network, I received an Xbox Series S for free. I'm not an Xbox person, and there's no disk drive, so I sold it to CEX at the very first opportunity. I will always prefer physical copies. I do not care for digital because that means I have to rely on internet access. I have to rely on vast amounts of downloads, even though most games now require mass updates if you have the disc to go in it, or the cartridge if you're a Switch person. The Steam Deck is a contradiction I'm very much aware I've made, but there's a slight exception on that one. I really wanted it. Generally speaking, I'll always prefer physical.
If you want to play the games you already bought on disc, that's another $100 after tax, you idiot! Also, if for some reason you don't want to put this hamburger from hell sideways on your entertainment console because it takes up the entire console, then that's going to be another $40 for the stand, you idiot!
I'm curious here why Boogie bothered to bring back Francis for this video, because in retrospect, while it could be considered a comedic take on the situation with Sony, his gaming commentary has never really been that bad, as Boogie that is. Now yes, the most popular videos on his channel, as you earlier saw, do concern PlayStation. He is clearly a PlayStation person, and it resonated with his audience back then especially. But this as news coverage would actually be quite informative. The levels of ripping off their audience Sony have gone to is astonishing. It is one of the many reasons I wouldn't want such a console. Long ago, Sony realized the PlayStation 1 was actually better vertically. Now they did correct that with the mini version. Yeah, the sleeker, rounder version. When the PlayStation 2 came out, they made it so it could be vertical. Same with the PlayStation 3 and the PS4. The 5, because of its angles and the weirdness of how it looks, just seems pointless. And I forgot to mention in the last response part, another reason to not want to be all digital is that you invariably have to pay a subscription fee, which is redundant. Not everyone wants to be tied to microtransactions, especially a monthly payment for the privilege of accessing games. Hence my disdain towards Xbox.
That is, if you or the scalper that's wrecking your life is lucky enough to find a console and a disc drive and a vertical stand all in one place, you may as well be playing the lottery at that point, because with supply chain issues being what they are, we're going to have the PlayStation 5 launch all over again because PlayStation, for some reason, will only be able to afford to make 9 of the goddamn things.
When the PlayStation 5 first came out, it was near impossible to get your hands on one, and I will admit when it first came out, I did want to get one. It was virtually impossible. It was that way for a long time, in fact. PlayStation didn't realize the supply and demand of that console, the next generation, was so high. I do not believe for a moment, beyond the morons and peanut gallery, that this will be as interesting, as intense. The scalpers will undoubtedly do their thing because they always do, and they certainly were when it first came out. But I don't believe the interest will be as high, certainly when at the moment there has yet to be anything seen so far that would indicate it is worth having instead of a standard PS5. I still have a standard PS3, and it quite frankly is more than enough. I have a standard PS2, and it still works. If they ever needed to upgrade something in their consoles, it would be to give us a decent baseline for memory, and get rid of the sodding ads on the home screen. They are AIDS.
Good luck finding one. And what do you get for your near $1,000 before scalper prices? A slight graphical upgrade. Look at this. Can you tell the difference? I got an 80-inch television, and even I won't be able to tell the difference. Who is this for? Also, you can have the luxury of buying their $70 games at the base price, $99 for the deluxe version, $150 for the ultra deluxe version.
Now just, if you will, indulge me for a moment. If Boogie had made this video as Boogie, do you think Boogie would have got a more positive commentary for making a commentary video about a subject he's passionate about, but he could have made an informative, passionate video about, as opposed to the shouting version, even though we know the rage version of it is the same, just with more Fs and Cs and Rs, and basically all the expletives, basically. Also, just a thing as well, while I do miss the old days of you being a nice person and making interesting videos back then through the power of the internet, this version with this presentation style, the backdrop, kind of looks like cheap wood you just stuck over what was once a rather glorious room. Have you been relegated to your basement? Do you have a basement?
Also, you can play the recent Sony exclusives for the PlayStation, like Concord. Oh wait, they shut the servers down already. Oh, there is one feature that I was leaving out, and that's your PlayStation 4 games are going to get a graphical upgrade when you play it on your new PlayStation 5 Pro. So for only $1,000, you can make your older games look better. You know that thing that Xbox has been doing for free since 2020 when you bought an Xbox Series X? You dipshits!
Well, times must certainly be tough. I hate that Boogie's right in this. I'm kidding. When someone's right about something, you must always accept that they are right. And in this, yes, he is right. I find it fascinating that you have to pay to have a graphical upgrade when many games have been getting remastered anyway. So why bother with this entire PS5 Pro anyway? It does come across as a rip-off, intentionally done to bleed your audience, yet you do not have the game library to justify such a console. And the Concord debacle is amusing. You could have done a separate video on that. That tickled me to no end. I'm not even lying. There are a lot of people who loved that game, and I will admit, and if you did lose out, I'm very sorry, but I laughed my head off when it all crashed.
Sony, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but a lot of us can't afford Mountain Dew right now. The economy's rough right now.
I don't think in this instance the Mountain Dew joke resonates so well when Keemstar's been trying to ban you from having it for a while. You've been claiming you're on water now and that you only have Mountain Dew in your home because of your friends, and this was on a recent LOLCal episode, by the way. That's how I know. Reality is, of course, you're addicted to the stuff. I don't understand how you can be, because it is genuinely rubbish. We know this because we don't get much of it over here, and when we do it's too expensive, but when we try it we realise it's not even on par with the basics. How you get more flavour out of plain water here than you do out of that. Now we have gone through enough of this video, quite frankly. I now want to head over to the comments. Let's see what the court of public opinion thinks, and whether or not the 1.7 upvote to 1.7k downvote is justifiable. He can't even do the voice anymore. That's just Boogie with a lisp. Skull emoji. It's over. This character doesn't work when we know the person you really are, in a world where Boogie is more unhinged than Francis. Yet, the Francis 10 plus years ago was entertaining. This 2024 Francis isn't working. Yo, this man thinks he can go back to reviews after faking cancer. Too little too late, pal. It still tipples the cancer scammer. Remember when he admitted not only that he faked cancer, but that he did it for money. Don't ever let that go, everyone. Keep that word, this blob, to give all that money back. This disgusting thing is a criminal in the most literal sense. Do you expect us to forget? I'm leaving the internet? No, you're not, and you never were. My doctor might have lied about my cancer. No, they didn't. Just another way to evade blame. I can't be like you. It's not possible. Yes, it is. You just don't want to change. Drinking Diet Mountain Dew is self-harm. That's why I do it. No, it isn't. You like the taste. That's why. Continuing with more quotes. You faked your C.abuse. I wonder how Francis feels about people who faked cancer. Yikes. The Francis lisp is not the same with those clackers in your mouth. That makes more sense, clackers. The swirly swirly thingamajiggy people use at games. What does Francis think of BOOGIE2988 faking cancer? $700 and no complimentary cancer treatment? Absolutely insane. These Francis videos aren't the same knowing Boogie just sucks as a human being. Bro is going to fake diabetes so he can cop the pro loved by Boogie and replied in fact, who said currently planning to fake AIDS next. And finally, this is absolute cringe. As far as this video goes, Boogie does have points within it concerning PlayStation, and I absolutely covered that throughout. The character seems though redundant because he's not doing anything as Francis anymore. He's just trying to put on a voice that sounds similar, but he can't actually do it as well anymore because of those teeth, and there's nothing wrong with that. He got those teeth done because he really wanted good teeth. They're just too big for his mouth. Another issue for Boogie is the character doesn't really work anymore because people have seen too much behind the camera to realise just how close you are to being him. Worse, in fact, actually. Ultimately, the BOOGIE2988 that once was will never be again, and the Francis that once was is no longer a viable character. If you want to do gaming commentary, I highly recommend you just do gaming commentary. You got decent views on this, but let's face it, that was 5 days ago. Your best hope as a content creator is either to press on as Boogie and make, well, videos again, or lean into the lolcow thing and just rage pig it out until you can't do it anymore. Which you'll say all the time because, you know, effort. But in reality, you commit to a lot of poor things. You commit to every poor decision you've ever made. So it's never about effort, it's about desire and hunger. And you're a hungry man. As a final thing, since he's in Arkansas, the new DLC for American Truck Simulator came out, and it is Arkansas. I'll be playing that later tonight on Twitch. Hope to see you there. If not, have a wonderful day and thank you very much for listening.